My name is Ellie Harper. People call me Crisel for short. I am 19 years old, and my life feels very hard. It feels like I am trapped in a place I didn't choose. I grew up in a nice, clean house in the suburbs of Chicago. My neighborhood is quiet and pretty, with green lawns and white fences. But inside my house, things are not happy at all. My family is very smart and works hard. They always want to do the best at everything. My dad, Dominic, is a heart doctor. He helps people with heart problems, and he has a private office where only very rich people go. My mom, Celeste, works at a hospital too, but she takes care of all the papers, schedules, and staff. She is very organized and expects everything to be perfect. They are both very strict and serious. They want me and my sister to be perfect too. Then there's my older sister, Fiona. She is 22 years old and seems perfect at everything. She got perfect grades in school, won many competitions, and always made my parents proud. And me. I'm the one who draws in my notebooks while everyone else studies. I love making up fantasy characters and magical worlds. My parents don't like it. They want me to follow their plan and become a doctor, just like they dream. I have loved art since I was very little. When I was 12, I got a tablet, and I spent hours drawing colorful heroes and magical creatures. I hid my comics and sketchbooks under my bed because I knew my parents would not approve. My grandma, before she passed away 5 years ago, always encouraged me. She would say, "You've got a spark, Crisel," and smile at my drawings. She believed in me. But my parents thought my art was a waste of time. They said I should focus on school and getting into medical school. To my parents, being anything less than a doctor was failure. Fiona, with her perfect grades and trophies, was their pride. I was always compared to her. Mom would sigh when I brought home a bad grade. She would say, "Why can't you be more like Fiona?" Fiona never helped either. She liked to tease me. Last week at breakfast, she smirked at me and said, "I heard you failed another practice test, Crisel. You'll never make it to med school." I wanted to scream that I didn't care about med school. I wanted to shout that I dreamed of going to art school, of designing characters for games or comics. But in my house, speaking up felt impossible. Dad's word was law, and Mom made sure I obeyed. I had to hide my dreams. Now, the medical school entrance exam was coming, and I was so scared. I studied day and night. My eyes burned from reading, my hands hurt from writing, but it wasn't because I wanted to be a doctor. I studied because if I failed, my parents said I would be out of the house. No second chances. No mercy. One night, I overheard Dad and Mom talking in their room. They thought I didn't know they were there. Dad said, "Fiona is a sure thing. But Crisel, she's average. She's a problem." Mom said, "Yes, if she fails, it will bring shame to us." My chest tightened. I felt both anger and fear. How could they talk about me like I was broken? I wanted to draw, to create, to be seen for who I really am. But in this family, my dreams felt like a crime. Tomorrow was the big test, and I felt ready for nothing. My stomach hurt as I checked my admission ticket over and over. My hands were shaking. Fiona leaned against my bedroom door. "This is it, Crisel. Your whole life depends on today. Don't mess up." Her words felt like punches. I tried to answer. "I'm trying, Fiona. Leave me alone." My voice shook with fear. She just rolled her eyes. "If you fail, you're done here." Before I could say more, Dad stormed into my room. "What's all this yelling?" "Crisel, do you know today decides your future?" Mom added, her voice cold and cruel. "Fail and you're out. We don't keep dead weight." Their words followed me as I walked to the exam center. The room was cold and quiet. I stared at the questions, my pencil hovering. Nothing made sense. I could only hear Dad calling me a failure. Each answer felt like a guess. By the time I finished, I felt empty. I was sure I had failed. 2 weeks later, the results were online. I sat at my desk, my heart beating fast. My family stood behind me. The website was slow. "Hurry up," Dad snapped. Fiona laughed. "Bet she failed." When the page finally loaded, I looked for my exam number. It wasn't there. I checked again. My hands were shaking. Silence filled the room. Then Fiona laughed, sharp and mean. "Told you, Crisel. Total flop." Dad's voice was low and angry. "You failed, Crisel. A doctor's daughter failing med school. Useless." I looked at Mom, hoping for even a tiny bit of kindness, but she avoided my eyes. "You're 19, she said. "An adult. If you can't be a doctor, it's not our problem." Fiona added more cruel words. "You're nothing. Get out before you drag us down." I tried to say I worked hard, but Dad stopped me. "Excuses don't matter. You failed. You're done." The next day, Dad shoved a paper at me. I had to sign it. It was a promise to never contact them again. My hands shook, but I signed it. I wanted to scream that I never wanted their dream, that I only studied to survive them. But I couldn't. A week later, I was on the street, dragging a suitcase. My phone rang. It was Aunt Marianne. Her voice was warm and soft, the opposite of my family. "Crisel, how did the test go?" she asked. I choked out the truth. I failed, and my parents kicked me out. She was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "Come to Seattle. Stay with me." Relief mixed with fear. I had nowhere else to go. But for the first time, I felt hope. I got on the bus to Seattle, my suitcase rattling behind me. Maybe this was the start of my real life. When I arrived, Aunt Marian was waiting. She smiled, kind and open. Her colorful scarf and easy laugh made her look like a bright light in my foggy life. "Crisel, you made it," she said, hugging me. Her hug felt safe, warmer than anything I had felt in years. Her house was small and cozy. The walls were full of colorful designs and art books. Her husband, Maxwell, was quiet but kind. I told them everything. My parents' threats, Fiona's meanness, the promise I signed. My voice cracked when I admitted my dream of being a digital artist. I expected them to ignore me like everyone else. But Marianne's eyes lit up. "You love drawing, don't you? I've seen your sketches. They're amazing." Maxwell nodded. "You've got talent, kid. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise." I was stunned. For the first time, someone saw me, not as a failed med student, but as me. Marianne leaned forward. "Your parents don't get to decide your life anymore. You're free. What do you want?" I thought hard. I had spent so long hiding my dreams that I almost forgot them. "I want to make art," I said. "Characters, stories, maybe for games or books." Marianne grinned. "Then let's make it happen. There's a community college nearby with a great art program. We'll pay for it." My heart raced. Could I really do it? I remembered Grandma giving me sketch pads and whispering, "Keep creating, Crisel." Her faith felt alive in Marianne's words. That night, in the guest room, I opened my sketchbook for the first time in months. My pencil moved slowly as I drew a warrior girl with fierce eyes. It was rough, but it was mine. I felt a spark of hope. The next day, Marianne took me to the college. The campus was full of students with art laptops and big portfolios. It was overwhelming. Some students carried tablets with fancy drawings. Others had sketchbooks filled with amazing characters. But Marianne's confidence made me feel brave. "This is your chance, Crisel. Take it with both hands." For the first time, I felt like I was running towards something good, not away from fear. I held my sketchbook tight, ready to see who I could become. The art studio was completely different from the cold exam rooms I knew. I was 19, surrounded by students who loved art more than anything. My first semester was full of lessons on Photoshop, figure drawing, and late-night critiques. I felt clumsy. My hands shook when I drew. Some students' work looked perfect, and I wondered if I would ever be good enough. Self-doubt crept in. Maybe Dad was right. Maybe I wasn't good enough. But then I remembered Marianne's words. "Take it with both hands." I pushed through. I stayed up late at night, practicing my character drawings. Each line on the page was a small rebellion against the voice in my head that sounded like my father. Marianne helped me a lot. She was a graphic designer and gave me advice that was sharp but kind. "Your lines have heart, Crisel," she said one evening, looking at my drawing of a cyberpunk heroine. "But trust yourself more. Let her story shine." I started to see my art differently. It was no longer just a hobby. It was a way to tell stories, to show the world my feelings. I poured my pain from Fiona's teasing, Mom's coldness, and Dad's harsh words into my characters. They became strong, even when I was still learning to be strong myself. By my second year, I started doing small freelance jobs online. People paid me to make art for them. A local cafe even hired me to paint a big mural. Seeing my art on a wall felt amazing. I posted my drawings online and slowly started getting followers who liked my work. Bit by bit, I was building a life where my art mattered. I began to believe in myself more every day. The fear I had felt for so long slowly faded. I knew I would never go back to the life my parents wanted for me. That life had no color, no happiness, no freedom. But this new life, my life, was full of possibilities. I could create characters, tell stories, maybe make games or comics. I could finally be myself. Every time I picked up my pencil, I remembered Grandma and her kind words. "Keep creating, Crisel." And I did. Each drawing made me stronger. Each sketch gave me hope. I was no longer Crisel, the daughter who failed her parents' dream. I was Crisel, the artist, the storyteller, the girl who finally found her own path. One day, a person from a mobile game company sent me an email. I couldn't believe my eyes at first. They said they saw my art and really liked it. They wanted me to make characters for their new fantasy game. I was so shocked that I almost dropped my tablet. I held it tight, staring at the screen, my heart beating fast. This was a dream I had only imagined in my head. Marianne, my best friend, saw my face and cheered. She jumped up, clapping her hands, and her smile was brighter than any amount of money I could earn. "You're doing it, kid," she said. I felt a little spark of hope in my heart. Maybe I could really do this. Maybe I could really be an artist people cared about. This game job was a turning point for me. At 22, I was making characters that players really loved. There were warriors with shining armor, clever mages who could throw fireballs, and sneaky rogues who could vanish into the shadows. People started to know my name, Harper, and it felt amazing. I was no longer just a kid who drew in her bedroom. My work was starting to matter. I graduated from college with honors, and my portfolio was full of bright, colorful designs. Every page was bursting with creativity. I spent hours and hours making sure every character had a story, a personality, and a look that players would love. I wanted my art to make people feel something, just like art had made me feel when I was a kid. By the time I was 25, I was working on my first graphic novel. It was a story about a girl who leaves a mean, toxic family behind and finds her own strength. The story was inspired by my own childhood. Writing it was hard, but also freeing. Fans loved it. Their messages flooded my inbox. They said my story helped them, gave them hope, and made them feel less alone. It felt real, like I was actually making a difference in someone's life. I was no longer just surviving. I was building a life I loved. I had friends, a job I was proud of, and people who believed in me. But even though I was happy most of the time, sometimes the past would sneak back into my thoughts. At night, I would hear my dad's voice calling me useless. I would see CLA's smirk in my mind. Those memories hurt, but instead of letting them break me, I turned them into art. My sadness and anger became colors, shapes, and characters on my canvas. Marian noticed when I was feeling quiet or sad. She would pull me into her studio, where we would drink coffee and brainstorm ideas for art. "You're not that scared girl anymore," she reminded me one day. "You are stronger than they ever gave you credit for." Her words stuck with me. Slowly, I started to believe them. I realized she was right. I had grown into someone brave and capable. When I was 26, the game company called me again. My character, a rogue named Kale, had become a fan favorite. Players loved him so much that the game became very popular. My income was steady, my name was known, and I was planning my second graphic novel. I was not just an artist anymore. I was a storyteller. I was carving out a place in a world that had once told me I didn't belong. For the first time in my life, I felt like I was enough. One afternoon, while I was sketching in my small Seattle apartment, my phone buzzed. It was a number I hadn't seen in 7 years. I froze. It was my dad. His voice was cold and gruff when he spoke. "Crisel, you are working now, right? You owe us. We raised you for 19 years. I need $250,000. Get it ready in a month." He hung up before I could say anything. I stared at my phone in shock. Confusion twisted into anger. "Oh, them," I muttered under my breath. After everything they had done, after they threw me out like garbage, they had the audacity to call me and demand money. A fire ignited inside me. I had questions. I needed to understand why they were like this. I grabbed my laptop and started looking into their lives. I had avoided this for years, but now I felt ready. What I found made my jaw drop. Dad's cardiology practice had shut down after years of bad reviews. Patients wrote things like, "arrogant doctor," and treated me like I was beneath him. Mom's hospital work was called cold and incompetent. Their mismanagement had caused everything to fail. I felt a grim satisfaction. Finally, I knew the truth. Then I saw CLA's social media. Her real name was on it, and she was obsessed with my mobile game. My game. She was spending thousands of dollars on in-game purchases for a character I created. The irony hit me like lightning. The sister who once called me a failure was pouring her money into something I made. I scrolled through her posts, seeing her life unravel. She had dropped out of college and seemed lost. One post said, "Kyle is my only escape." The perfect daughter, the one I was always compared to, was now living off mom and dad's dwindling funds. I laughed, but it was a bitter laugh. Part of me wanted to gloat. Part of me felt heavy remembering the little girl I used to be, drawing in secret to escape their cruelty. Marian noticed my mood when I told her about Dad's call. You don't owe them a dime, she said firmly. But if you want closure, face them in your own way. That night, I booked a flight to Chicago. I was not the scared 19-year-old anymore. I was Ellie Harper, an artist who had built a career from nothing. I had turned pain into stories that touched thousands of people. My anger simmered, but now it was sharp, focused. I wanted them to see who I had become. Not to beg for their love, but to show that I never needed it. As I packed, I sketched Kyle the rogue. His defiant eyes looked just like mine. I imagined Cela's face when she realized I had created him, and my dad's shocked face when I called out their failures. This trip wasn't about forgiveness. It was about reclaiming the pieces of myself they had tried to break. I was ready to walk into their house and face the past, not as their daughter, but as the woman I had become. The Chicago house looked smaller than I remembered. The white paint was peeling, and the lawn was patchy. At 26, I stood at the door, my heart pounding, not with fear, but with a fire I had nurtured for 7 years. I knocked, and Mom opened the door. Her face hardened when she saw me. "Crisel," she said, like my name tasted bitter. Dad appeared behind her, eyes narrowing. "You brought the money, right? $250,000 like we said." There was no hello, no apology, just greed. I stepped inside and saw Fiona slouched on the couch, her phone in her hands, not even noticing me. I took a deep breath to steady myself. "Why should I give you anything?" I asked, my voice calm but sharp. Dad's face tightened with anger. "We raised you, fed you, paid for your tutoring. You owe us." Mom nodded, her smile forced. "You are doing well now, aren't you? It's only fair." I laughed, a sound that startled even me. "Fair? You called me useless. You kicked me out. You made me sign papers to never come back. You think I had a carefree childhood." My voice rose, spilling out years of hurt. "You compared me to Fiona. Tore me down. And now you want my money because your practice failed. I looked you up. Your hospital is gone. Patients called you arrogant. Mom, and you, Dad, a quack. You ruined everything." Their faces froze. Shock replaced their bravado. Fiona finally looked up, eyes wide. I turned to her. "And you, Fiona, still living off them, obsessed with Kyle, right? Spending thousands on me." Her mouth opened, but nothing came out. I pulled out my tablet and showed her my portfolio. Kale's concept art was stamped with my signature. She fell back, eyes vacant, as if her world had cracked open. Dad recovered first, voice slick and oily. "Crisel, we always knew you had talent. Come back. Help us out. We're family." Mom grabbed my hand, desperate. "We can live together again. Pay off debts together." I yanked my hand free, anger flaring. "Family? You threw me out when I was 19. You wanted a doctor, not a daughter. Now I am successful. And you think I will save you? You are nothing to me." Their smiles turned to shouts, but I was done. "Your debts, your failure, Fiona's mess. It's all yours. Deal with it." I turned and left. My heart was racing, but it felt lighter. As I slammed the door, their voices faded. I felt free, like I had finally cut the chains they had bound me with. I wasn't just leaving their house. I was leaving their shadow. I was stepping into a life that was entirely mine. Back in Seattle, the confrontation lingered like a bruise on my heart. I was in Marianne's studio sketching, but my lines were shaky. My mind replayed Dad's desperate pleas and Fiona's stunned face. At 26, I thought facing them would feel like victory, but instead, there was a hollow ache. I wanted closure, not guilt. Marianne noticed my quietness over coffee. "You okay, Crisel?" she asked, her eyes searching mine. I confessed the mix of triumph and regret. How their downfall felt right but heavy. "You didn't owe them softness," she said firmly. "They made their choices. You're not responsible for fixing them." Her words sank in, easing the weight on my heart. I thought of my grandma, who always told me to keep my spark alive, no matter what. She would be proud, I realized. Not because I got revenge, but because I built a life true to myself. I started sketching again, pouring my emotions into a new character. A girl who rises from ashes, fierce and unbroken. This was for my graphic novel, the one fans were excited about online. Their comments were full of empathy and understanding for my heroine. I was reminded why I created, to connect, to heal, to show others they were not alone. I spent days refining the novel. Every panel showed a piece of my journey. Marianne peeked over my shoulder, grinning. "This is your best work yet," she said. I felt it too. The confrontation didn't just close a chapter in my life. It fueled my art, turning pain into something raw and real. I posted a teaser online, and the response was overwhelming. Hundreds of messages came in from readers who saw themselves in my story. "Your work gives me courage," one wrote. My eyes stung. This was what mattered, not my parents' approval. Still, the past tugged at me. I checked Fiona's social media, curious despite myself. Her posts were quieter now, less about Kyle and more about her aimless days. Part of me felt sorry for her. She had been shaped by the same pressure that had almost crushed me, just in a different way. But I knew I couldn't carry her burden or Dad's or Mom's. Marianne was right. Their mess wasn't mine. I closed the app and turned to my canvas. My heroine's eyes now held the spark of my own resilience. She was strong, fierce, and unbroken, just like I had become. And as I sketched, I knew I was finally free. Free from their shadow. Free to live my own life. Free to create the art that mattered. That evening, I walked with Marianne along the Puget Sound. The water shines and sparkles in the evening light, moving slowly with the waves. The sky is pink and orange, and the air smells fresh like the ocean. I look at Marianne and tell her, "You gave me a chance when no one else did." My voice feels heavy and shaky. She smiles at me and squeezes my hand. "You took the chance, Crisel," she says softly. "That's what really matters." I feel a happy warmth in my chest. I know now that I am not defined by the family who didn't care about me. I am defined by the people I love and who love me back. That includes Marianne, my art, and my fans. As the waves splash on the rocks, I feel calm and ready to keep making art, learning new things, and showing the world I am good enough. I am 26 years old, and living in Seattle feels like having a big, empty canvas in front of me. I can paint my life however I want, and I am finally doing it. My first big book, Ashes to Light, is a big success. It tells the story of a girl who leaves a mean and cruel family behind. Lots of people read it and say it makes them feel strong and happy. Because of the book, people invite me to art shows, interviews, podcasts, and even a comic shop. I feel proud and a little nervous at the same time. Standing in front of a big crowd at Emerald City Comic-Con, I tell everyone how my art saved me. My hands shake a little, but my voice stays strong. Fans come up to me holding my book. One teen looks at me with big, hopeful eyes and says, "Your work made me feel seen." I try very hard not to cry. Moments like this are why I draw and tell stories. I want my art to help people feel happy and strong. My art career keeps growing. A game studio asks me to be a lead designer for a new project. My name, Ellie Harper, is starting to be known by more and more people in the art world. I am also working on a second book. This one is about forgiveness, not for my family, but for myself. At night, when the city is quiet, I think about my grandma. She always believed in me quietly, even when my family did not. I know she would be proud of the life I have built, a life where my talent shines bright and is not hidden anymore. Marianne is proud of me too. Her studio walls now have my art displayed alongside hers. She teases me, "You are outshining me, kid," but her grin is full of joy. I try not to think about Chicago, but news comes to me through Marianne. My parents went bankrupt. They sold their house, and now they live in a small apartment. They are still trying to pay their bills. My sister Fiona hides in her room all the time, playing games or scrolling through social media. She writes confusing posts online about betrayal, and I wonder if it is about me. I feel a little sad for a moment. Fiona used to be the sister I admired, but she became mean over time. Feeling sorry for her doesn't mean I have to help her. Their problems are theirs, not mine. I am learning to let go of the things I cannot change. Marianne helps me stay calm and grounded. We spend weekends together in her studio, drinking coffee and drawing. She asks me to work with her on a big project, a new art book that mixes both of our styles. It feels scary to try something new, but her belief in me is stronger than the old voices in my head that say I am not good enough. I also started meeting new people. At a convention, I met a kind animator named Miles. We laugh together and share ideas. We are not dating yet, but he makes me feel lighter, happy, and free again. He encourages me to try new things like painting with watercolors. I am not very good at it yet, but we laugh when the paint splashes everywhere. It reminds me that life is not just about surviving. It is about joy, friendship, and having fun. My art keeps changing and growing. Each new drawing is a step away from the sad past. I am invited to a game panel to talk about a character named Kale, which fans really love. I don't tell anyone that Fiona once copied my work, but it doesn't matter anymore. It used to make me feel like revenge, but now it is just a small part of my story. I am not defined by my family's cruelty anymore. I am Crisel, the artist, the storyteller, the girl who turned pain into strength. When I sign books for my fans, their smiles make me feel proud and happy. Seattle has become my home. Its rainy streets, busy cafes, and colorful art scene are the perfect background for my life. Marianne's house is my safe place, my anchor. She is more than a friend. She is my mentor and my family by choice. I help her with her studio, designing logos for her clients. Over coffee, we dream up a joint book, blending her bright, bold patterns with my character-driven stories. We make a great team, Crisel, she says with sparkling eyes. I smile and feel the truth in her words. We work together with respect, something my parents never gave me. My career is growing fast. Game studios ask me to lead new projects, and fans send me messages saying my book Ashes to Light helps them feel brave. I also teach art at the community college on weekends. I love helping kids believe in themselves, just like Marianne helped me believe in myself. Seeing shy teens light up when I praise their drawings reminds me of Grandma, whose quiet faith always kept my spark alive. Miles and I go on art walks, trying new styles and learning together. He encourages me to paint with watercolors, even though I make a mess. We laugh, and it reminds me that life is also about happiness, love, and connection, not just surviving. Sometimes I think about Chicago, but it feels far away, like an old, faded drawing. Marianne tells me my mom tried to call her to get my address, but she refused. They don't get to claim you now, Marianne said. I nod, grateful that she is protecting me. I know my parents' bankruptcy and Fiona's hiding in her online world are their own problems, not mine. I checked Fiona's social media one time. She mostly posts game pictures and videos. I feel a little sad for her, but I close the app and focus on my future. At night, I draw my heroine. Her eyes are strong and kind. She is me, but also every kid who is told they are not good enough. I want my art to help them feel brave and happy, just like Marianne helped me. I am not just surviving anymore. I am building, creating, and loving. Every line I draw honors Marianne and Grandma and proves I am where I belong. Looking back, my life feels like a story I would draw. A girl who fell down, fought hard, and found her way to the light. At 19, I was sad in my family's house. They didn't like my art and kicked me out when I failed their test. But that failure became the start of my real life. With Marianne's help, I turned my sketches into a career. My pain became stories that helped thousands of people. Seeing fans and even Fiona love my character Kyle without knowing it was mine feels like a quiet, secret victory. Facing my family at 26, I didn't just heal. I claimed my power. I walked away from their chaos to make a life that is mine. Seattle is my home now. I write, design, teach, and maybe even like someone who sees me. My books, game projects, and fans' love are more than I ever dreamed. But none of this would be possible without Marianne. She gave me a chance when I had nothing. She saw the spark my parents tried to hide. Her faith and Grandma's memory carried me through. As I draw my next story, I see my heroine more clearly than ever. She is not just me. She is everyone who was told they are not good enough, everyone who fights to show they are. My art is for them, a reminder to keep creating, keep trying, and keep rising. I am still growing, but I am proud. I am a girl who turned rejection into strength and who found family in people who truly see her.